Oops. Okay, you probably saw me shaking my head because I hit end stream when I didn't mean to. Okay. Hi. I want to do a vid response, as you've seen, for week 5. We are still working on that. And boy, I mean, really, y'all are so voluminous. And so in your writing is very voluminous. And it's just going to be easier for me to catch your questions or to make some notes with what you're asking or have noted. I'm going to start. Then this is from the digest. These are posts that were made Sunday, and I'm going to start with one from Julian. Julian, this was regarding Romans 16:1 through 27, and we had been talking about convictions and respecting people's convictions. I want to say it this way: we have to respect people. We may not like their convictions. We may abhor their convictions. We may not want to have anything or to do with them because of their convictions, but we still have to respect them. And if we think in terms of there being conversation, if there ever be any chance of them turning around, then we have to keep that amount of respect that might allow for a later conversation. Now, we have our biases and those people, those issues that are just going to drive us crazy. In those cases, we still have to respect the person, but we don't have those conversations anymore. A lot of people who hold the convictions, the understandings that we so most hate and are just so hate filled, and again to move on. So the respect is not liking the conviction. The respect is respecting the person who has maybe to work with someone to help them change their mind, change their life. I mean, you think about Barnabas, who was there to change Paul's life. What would have happened if Barnabas just walked away? Paul would never become the person that he became and do the things that he did and to have that influence that he continues to have today. So, but that may not be your call, right? That was Barnabas's call. It's people's calls to work with various people and whatnot. And there are movies that you can watch. They're about that. I'm trying to think of one that was out in this past year, but was how I want to say, oh, it doesn't matter. Anyways, it's been because of the woman who kept in his face in her own way. So that's there. I'm still looking down here. Julian, again, I'm not picking on you here. I'm just going through here, and you wrote these with Romans, money and giving money for building projects and the like. And I see the concern about churches, and poor churches need to be aware of churches that come and they ask for money over and over and over again to fix this on their church, to fix that on their church, and they're not doing ministry. They're not doing mission. They're dying and have been on a dying edge, and yet they want people to help them fix their building as though other people will come to that if it's fixed up, or often, and probably more often than not, it's fixing it up so that they have a place to worship. One who spends half of the year in Texas, the rest of the members, they're not members. They're people who come there are Catholic and will tell you with great joy that they're Catholic. And the giving just isn't there. There's no desire to do anything but to have worship services there. The tie of the non-disciples to that building is that they had family members a generation or so ago that went there, or in one case, it's the church next door to her house. And so she wants the church to look good, but they had roof damage, and they needed to make decisions about the roof and how they were going to have a roof, how they were going to fix it. And they went out asking for money from the denomination to put the roof on their building. So limited resources, and our over and over again. And we really have to ask that question: is how will this benefit this church's mission? How will this allow this church to minister in mission? And then to ask the church for their business plan. What is their plan from there? We sink money over and over again into churches who, just aren't and don't want to do anything, or they don't want to mobilize or get the resources that they need to be able to be effective and sustainable. So at some point, we've got to be asking these questions. In fact, at this point, we need to be asking these questions. And if your business went to the bank to borrow money, the bank is going to ask you, what is your business plan? How are you going to pay back these monies? We don't ask for repayment. We just keep handing it out to churches without any business plan. So that's my response about buildings and helping them to be habitable. Again, in disasters, definitely we need to respond to that. But when it's just a church that keeps coming back and back and back and isn't doing anything to build, that they're no better off than they were before the ask for the monies, then we need to get in there. This one is to Julia. This one's Romans 9, verses 1 through 29. And there I was pushing y'all about interfaith dialogue and the purpose of that, and how do we come back how do we, right? But we need to respect those decisions. Again, we respect the people, and that makes part of this a little challenging for me, at least, and for quite a few others who would be responding to this question, I think. But here's where I really want to push you as Christians, and particularly as people who are preparing for ministry, or we're in ministry, whether that be lay ministry or vocational ministry, commissioned minister, ordained minister, that we are here to one, do Jesus's bidding, but also to teach what that is. And so Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And I think that may be what I had tossed out there. And again, now we're at rhetorical, right? And I love these conversations. So if you ever want to take them offline somewhere and have them, via Zoom or something else, I just can't type that fast to do this. I don't have the time to type that much, hence a VidResponse. And I prefer to have the conversation than just the responses and the tete-a-tete back and forth. Anyways, I'm not asking you to agree or disagree with me. I'm just saying, when we say things, we've got to be able to back that up with scripture, because that is ultimately that is our source. Now, yes, there's experience with that as well. There's tradition, history, right? So those and reasoning that go into that Wesleyan quadrilateral, but scripture is still a key part of that. And if we can't bring that scripture in, so you can't, I am the way, the truth, and the life, or universalism, which is everybody's going to get in. Right? We don't need fire insurance, which I don't believe in that anyways, but everybody can get in. You're going to have to address the Great Commission, Matthew 28. How are you going to respond to the Great Commission? Let's see. Wait, I had another one. Oh, what do you do with the Book of Acts? Where it really is, it's about evangelism. It's about growing the church. That is what we're to do, is to be growing the church, growing Christianity, growing the followers of Jesus, right? Making disciples is what we're about. Okay. So if you want to talk to me about not making disciples, if you want to say, well, no, we don't have to do that, interfaith dialogue, right? Respecting non-Christian, I want you to wrestle with the Great Commission, with the Book of Acts, with the letters, right? You're going to get to wrestle with Revelation. So that's what I'm talking about there. We've got to have the conversation, not just what we think, not just what we want, not just what is comfortable for us, but we got to back it up scripturally. Okay, so there that one is. This is from your response, Galatians forum, the Galatians chapter 4, verses 1 through 31. And there's the mother Paul. I love this in Julian of Norwich's writings, her revelations of divine love and her shewings. She talks about Mother Jesus. So I thought you might appreciate that. Revelations of divine love, Julian of Norwich. She lived back in the 1300s. You might appreciate her. Let's see what else. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. Again, this is with Galatians. Vicki, you were wondering what would happen if the women came together over conversations around circumcision, and would they come together rather than to be separated? No, they'd be separated because that's just part of their culture. Today, different, probably, maybe, but then that wouldn't have happened. Karen, you were responding to Sylvia, chapter 5, 21 through 6-9, Ephesians forum. You've come a long way, baby. When I was in college, I was in what was called the Return to College program because I didn't go straight from high school. I took a few years off to have a couple of children. Anyways, as we were getting ready as juniors, getting ready to rise to being seniors, the seniors would do their own versions of hazing. It wasn't really hazing. We were a women's college, so we didn't have sororities or fraternities or anything like that, but we really liked to celebrate. So one of the ways that the seniors celebrated the junior, interesting costumes. I was in a toga to represent the ancient Greek part of my two majors. Anyways, we had to go out there and sing Helen Reddy's "I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar." And we still have some roaring to do, don't we? Philippians 4, 2 through 23. Should we take heart that church disagreements date to the start of the church, or be saddened by the fact that they continue? And be vigilant in the study of the books of like the letters. Keep studying, keep studying. I keep saying, you're in a conflicted church, walk away or be part of changing it and go outside to get resources. Yes, the discussion about idleness, right? It's the concept that's in there as well is that, again, if you remember in Acts and how the church took care of one another, everybody does their parts. And within these different, a person like that today that is just waiting for, Jesus to take care of it all and not really participating in that work, that this is a good opportunity to say that. What we get in these letters are glimpses in the moment, with depictions, these ways of being raised up. He's going to say things, and it's like, what? As Christians and living, those of us who weren't raised as Christians, right? We have this stuff that happens, and you're like, what? I mean, that's one of the important parts of discipling people, is to work with them. I had a music director out in one of the churches I served, and he was just this incredible musician who lied to get the position at the church, saying, oh yeah, he was a Christian. He played working with the choir. The first day he plays the prelude, the music before it starts. We have a grand piano up there. He plays, he finishes, and then he stands up, almost as though he's standing for the bow. And he starts walking around the back of the sanctuary, just, interacting with people. He didn't know church behavior. He didn't realize it wasn't a performance. He didn't realize that they weren't going to give him applause. He was sitting there thinking it. So we just had a little bit of teaching that needed to be done. Okay. And so same thing there. they with Paul. Barnabas took him aside and had to teach him. Didn't want to do it by any stretch. Read Paul's letters. One, we're catching him in a moment. The other is he's responding to conflicts over and over again in these letters, and so he's going to say something, and he's just like we do when we get into that flight or fight mode. What will happen? Well, in both flight or fighting, we tend to work out of our past experiences, right? So when we react to something, we only have what we've experienced, and it takes a long time to get to where we can integrate our learnings, or even all about other letters we're going to see other. So Second Thessalonians, this whole piece of idleness, I took care of that in the before letter. I do think that that's all I've got from our Pauline epistles. It is. There it is. All right. So I'm already reading your posts that you've started yesterday. You're doing, again, such a thorough job, and keeping each other on toes, keeping me on my toes, hence vid lecture or vid responses. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Please stop stressing. I can't believe that we are in Holy Week and we have classes right now and are having to deal with what we're dealing with. So, if again this next week, if you need to set everything aside from this evening on and get back on it next week, you know what? That's going to be okay. Is going to be okay. We can do catch up with Revelation into the final week if that's what we need to be doing. Again, I can grace us into that week between the official end of classes and when your paper would be due. I know some of you are going to be starting new classes, though, the day after this class officially closes. So, all right. Anything else I wanted to say with that? Just don't stress, please. Take time for you tomorrow. Good Friday. I'm 99% sure that your Monday, Thursday services, if you were doing Monday, Thursday, Good Friday services, your Seder meals have been canceled or you've taken them online. If that's the case and you as community are not in some way coming together, then please take time for you. I know the disciples, you would find more about this on disciples.org, are having special reflections and devotions as Holy Week is coming to a close and then into Easter. So those are out there for you. Please, please, please. Morning and take the time with him and your family, whatever that looks like. Spend time with them on Easter. All right, that's it. Take care. I'm out. Bye.